I've had some interesting trips recently, and as part of that, I've been dropping off passengers, picking them up later, and so I've gotten some new external perspectives on some of my flights. People have been able to take a video of my landings and taxiing up and takeoff and so forth, so I wanted to put those together into this video here. In this first clip, I managed to get the intercom audio piped into my iPhone so that it would be on the video. It's not perfect. The radio chatter is too loud at times, but I thought it was worth including as my first experiment trying to improve the audio here.
Thought I would show a little bit about what I do with the iPad in flight. And here it is, mounted in the
Brickyard 3645,
a little yoke mount here, which kind of a guy does these custom. The previous owner already had one installed, which is handy for this. Got an iPad mini. I'd like to get the larger, medium-sized iPad in here someday, but for now, this will do well. I got the Stratus USB power plugs installed at my last annual. Puts out lots of juice. This thing charged. Even for the longest of flights. This airplane actually comes with power ports down there. When I was first learning to fly in this plane, I had an iPad sort of in my normal position like the Cirrus. My lap here. And on landing, it was interfering with the yoke, which was not cool. They said there's not much clearance here. When you bring this yoke back, this could hit. I was trying to jam this into my butt. 300. And it was not cool. So I immediately stopped doing that on takeoff and landing especially, and then even my passengers, I get them to put it away out of their lap so there's no chance of interference, and I use the mount. Just for a little context, what we're doing right now is we're heading out to Alabama, playing with a little bit of devices as we go, doing some testing of different equipment we got at Oshkosh, trying out the new Scout ADS-B receiver, testing some firmware updates. Also, use Stratus 2 for my primary. But the Scout's been really handy as well. After I spend a couple days in Alabama, I'm going to go to South Carolina, where I grew up. Spend a couple days with a work buddy. Maybe work on some new cool stuff for ForeFlight before reversing the trip. Picking up my in-laws, the grandparents, to take them back to Alabama to pick up the rest of the family, and take everybody back to Austin, let the grandparents have a week or so with their grandkids before they fly back commercial. So we're having a nice flight for the start of this trip, and I'm expecting it to be a lot of fun.
Dicey 01, Houston Center, Roger.
It was interesting to me planning out these three legs where I had to do multiple stops, pick up multiple passengers each place, figuring out the timing of each arrival, when people needed to be where, how much fuel I could take versus how much weight and how far I needed to go on the next leg. All that stuff was kind of a new challenge to do that all in one day. I'm usually just doing one flight at a time. So I sort of felt like a corporate pilot for a day, and that was pretty neat. Here's my takeoff out of Alexander City in Alabama, and I'm heading to Rock Hill, South Carolina. It was pretty much solid IFR all the way up to flight level 280. Here I am climbing up to 280, and the icing started around 18,000 feet or so, which was what was predicted on the weather briefing, so that was good. But I was paying pretty close attention to whether the boots were taking care of it or not. I turned on the windshield de-icing. That's the clear square you can see out the front. And you can see the boots on the front of the wings. They do have some ice, but they were clearing it pretty well, and this is now we're up on top here at 280, and things are starting to melt pretty good. ATC left me up here for only about 15 minutes before they wanted to start inching me down, and I just asked to go way down to 15,000, so I knew I'd be in the warmer weather and out of the icing. They were extremely accommodating, which was helpful. Here you can see some of the icing shedding a little bit as the boots expand on that inboard portion. Here's my landing back in Alexander City after leaving South Carolina a few days later. And this landing was okay. It looks pretty good from this distance. It was a little minor bump. I'm getting better each time. It's always fun to learn a new airplane and just figure out how it likes to land. Here's the taxi into parking. This was easily the best greeting I've ever received at an airport. The kids were really excited, and it was really fun to see that. And here we are loading up to get ready to go back to Austin. I promise I did actually help load up, but first I had to go over and ask the gentleman to bring the fuel truck around and get us plenty of fuel, so we had lots of reserve for the last leg of our trip. I had both of the engine cowls open to let it cool off. You want to get the ITT temperature down as low as possible before start, because you need to have it below 150 before you actually add fuel to the engine. And here's the entire crew on the way back to Austin. And here's our landing back at Austin Executive. And I couldn't resist adding this little bonus clip. My wife was in the back in the cabin on our way back from seeing the eclipse this week, and she got a little footage as she came forward to see our youngest son sitting up front with me and learning a little bit about the avionics. ATC was really slammed on this trip. It was maybe 5 p.m. in the afternoon local time Monday, and they were putting delays for everybody trying to get flight following or IFR clearances. But once we finally got a clearance, they were very helpful, and especially once we got away from the path of the eclipse, the traffic wasn't so bad anymore. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I've got a few more videos upcoming. I'm going to dive into a couple little systems and logistics of managing the airplane that I've been working on. See you then.